freedom, law, education, health, free energy, money, debt. Awake Radio, deconstructing the dream world, one lie at a time.
You didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you?
You know, for a second there, yeah, I kinda did.
Welcome to Awake Radio, folks, and well done to Pamela and Rubens and Paula. Great show there, guys. Really enjoyed it, and I hope to hear much more from Rubens soon, guys, and maybe get a bit better quality if we can get him on Skype or something like that. Yeah, really interesting show. Absolutely brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed that, and you know, it brings a worldwide appeal, and it's a very tired but happy Granadas workshop. This week has been rather exciting, folks. It's been rather hectic and busy, and just like that show previous, it's kind of been frantic and a bit sort of up and down while we try and get ourselves in that place where we have everything steady and all the house set up as much as we possibly can. So this has kind of been a very, very hectic week, guys. So consequently, I really haven't had a chance to chase up any guests. I really have been trying to get somebody to come on, and you know, I've been sending emails out left, right and centre, but I really seem to be coming up with empty-handed at the moment, but that's okay. As I say, I really haven't had a lot of time to do anything or prepare anything, guys, so this week the show will just really be about sort of awake stuff, and you know, try and keep you occupied a little bit with a little bits of information. The problem I have at the moment, guys, is that... Oh, sorry, I just blew your ears out. The problem I have at the moment, guys, is that I'm doing so much things with the radio that I'm not really being able to find any fresh pods or find out fresh information and keep up to date with everything, you know, like so the Bilderbergers and the G8 meetings and stuff. So consequently, you know, I'm kind of, my head's been stuck in this PC and editing pods and, you know, getting the YouTube channel up and running, which to you guys out there that don't know is Awake Radio 1. There's 3 pods up there already, guys. I've been flat out as much as I possibly can. Didn't know how to do it, didn't know how to use Movie Maker to make the pods viable, so it's a whole big learning curve for me, guys. So I really appreciate your patience. And you know, it's a case of we're all trying to do the right thing. It's not just me, guys. It's all the hosts in Awake, and a terrific job they're doing too. This is why I'm kind of so happy about Pam and the previous interview or show, or whatever you want to call it, because you can feel the enthusiasm and the excitement that's brewing with different things, you know, being very positive, you know, the Kelly's Heroes, Negative Waves, Oddball. You know, it's being positive under those circumstances. You know, in Nigeria they have a lot less than what we have, guys, and a lot more to complain about. And obviously, they really are desperate for some things. So anything we can do to help and keep into that you know, pushing into that area and keeping awake worldwide. As Paula was saying, you know, we have a South African host, we have an Australian host, we have American hosts, we have UK hosts. You know, this is what it's all about, guys. We're all in this together, and you know, trying to unify the country's message at least. Then yeah, we're aware of what's happening in Africa. Then we may be able to do something about it. Now, I think it was 7 million lira. Sorry, I keep going into the red here, guys. I'm trying not to, but. You know, my breathing isn't the best today, to be honest, and you know, I really will try and go as long as I possibly can. As I say, it's been pretty tiring week, and it's been pretty hectic. I think it's taken its toll, but really we want to try and keep the message going about Africa, and 7 million lira probably is about a tenner in sterling and $15 in American or something, but there's certainly anything we could do to help our listeners that listen to the pod or whatever, may be able to contribute something. This awakening is growing, guys. It really is growing fast, and worldwide. If you listen to Allegedly Dave's show on Friday, telling you about the Turkish people, and that was basically there in the moment. So, this is going on all over. I think it was the riots in Sweden not so long ago. There's much more of this going on than we really we can see, because the media doesn't really tell you what's going on. The alternative media kind of hits on it, but we're very separated, and small stations, and the news is getting out, which is really why we want to try and get all the independent radio stations together and try and get the message out and push it as far and wide as we possibly can. Which brings me on to the fact that I should have really been restreaming or simulcasting, as we call it, to Wee Row Radio. We didn't get the encoders in time. Just swatted a fly and whacked Mike. Sorry, guys. I should have been simulcasting on Wee Row Radio. I think April's up to her ears in it as well. So maybe next week. I would say definitely next week, and hopefully I'll have a guest, and we can do a good job on Wee Row as well. Basically said to all our hosts, if they want to simulcast with any other radio station, or I'm going to put the word out very shortly once we have our schedule organised, that if any hosts from other radio stations want to come on board with the Wake Radio, and it's in kind of in line with what we're doing, then we'll welcome them. And really, that's what it's all about, guys. Is all trying to work together to get this good message out to as many people as we possibly can. Sorry guys, I'm going to take a quick tune break here, and I shall be back in a second. Okay guys, Granadas Workshop back again. Kind of got a little bit of refreshed air, and it makes it easier to breathe, when you can clear your sort of throat and not sound so bad. Okay, this is enough of my kind of woes of this week. I'm actually quite really happy, although I'm very tired. And thanks for you guys in the chat for what you responded there. If you have any questions over the period of my show, just give a wee fire up, or if you want to call in or anything, it's granada.steve, and we can have a quick chat. Nothing sort of drastic, or just if you have something that you want to discuss. As I said, I don't really have anything sort of ready for this week. In fact, the last hour there, I was just listening to Pam, and I should have really been making notes and doing things. So that kind of gives you an idea, guys. But that's the situation at the minute, and I'm actually really happy. It's pretty amazing when people can look at a schedule and know when you're on, because that really wasn't doing us any favours, guys, at the fact that nobody knew when we were on. And even in the last week, it's been remarkable. We've had much more listeners tuning in, and when you see the anons popping in and out there, it's because after 25 minutes, if they don't post, they disappear, but they're actually still listening. And I've been trying to find out how much we're getting on stream and listening to it, but it tends to tell us porcupines. So once I can get an idea, a firm idea, our listenership, then I'll let you guys know. But certainly, there's been a marked improvement since last week of different people, coming onto the chat and so on. Certainly, the ones that we can mention is the ones that come in the chat that choose a name. We don't know how many new anons that we've had on and so on, but it certainly has been on the increase, and for me, it's been really pleasing to see, because more than me, there is a lot of people putting a lot of effort into to keep me awake on air, even through the night. Lexi Truseeker 22 and Paula and so on, and Chrissy. I mean, Chrissy at 3 o'clock this morning. Basically because she's been having computer problems that we've been trying to get her SAM up and running, and it's been causing problems essentially, guys. We've deleted it and reinstalled it, and it worked fine once, and then the next time she goes to use it, it won't play. And so at 3 o'clock this morning, myself and Chrissy were basically trying to get a SAM set up, because Paula was away visiting her family, and there was no host to really take the air. So, this is the kind of effort that people are putting in, the hosts are putting in, guys. they're quite happy to jump on and help whenever they possibly can. And I know we keep going on about this, but this is the thing. This is the thing that's happening with Awake, that there really is that kind of atmosphere going on, guys, that there's a sharing, helping attitude, and it's not aggressive. We all have different viewpoints, but that's the beauty, the fact that we have got the common goal. We all want to get our message out, whether I agree with that message or not, or they agree with my message or not. We all have that common goal. There really is a good vibe going with Awake that you may not see or hear through the radio, but certainly we get it in the background, the back room, if you like. From the point of view of different hosts coming in too, I mean, there's Rick Margetts, who's basically doing the reality. He's a producer for Reality Bites. He's into his computers and websites big time, offering to help. One of the things he just done was he just got us another host to simulcast on the Friday, which I would sort of go into now, which is Tony Gosling. Now, I've played Tony Gosling's pod previous to Rick saying that he wanted to stream. I instantly said yes, and I played his pod and listened to the very beginning of it, and he at one time had a 10 million listenership when he was in a London radio station. So, you tend to pull some of that listenership with you whenever you move to a different radio station or whatever the case may be. So I think that's going to be a really good show for Awake. Sorry, guys. So his show is going to be on 5 to 7 on Friday, which means that we're going to move the UK columns restream just up an hour, and that allows us to have the restream as well as have a host. As I say, Rick Margetts, he's doing a real great job. He's basically, I'll stick the link in when I get a chance, guys, rather than me hunting and distracting me, but I'll stick the link in, and Rick's kind of got a site up that has all the players from all the different radio stations that he can find and muster all on the one page. So we'll hopefully get a link up to that on the site very soon too. As I say, Dave's been pretty busy too, trying to get things done. He had a show on Friday and so on. So we've kind of slowed up a little bit for giving Dave a bit of a chance to do what he needs to do, as well as what he needs to do on Awake Radio. Been really great, the fact that we've got the schedule back up and running, and we haven't really got all the hosts on it just as yet, and there's certain little editing pieces that we need to do, but that's the kind of deal. It's we've all been mucking in and trying to get as much done as we possibly can while he's got a net available, and he did a show on Friday, which I thought was rather good. And I was watching, he was talking about Turkey, and I was watching on the news that the president's moved in on the protesters and hitting them with water cannons and tear gas and things. Rough stuff, but this is where we have to keep doing what we're doing and getting the message out as much as we possibly can. So as I was saying, Tony Gosling is going to be a new host on Friday, and that'll be a new show to tune into. We also have Cat Waters, who basically did an impromptu show at our time on Tuesday, which is, if I believe right, if I'm not, Paula, would you post in the chat the proper times, because I'm not sure if I've got it properly. I've got it written in here properly, but I think it's 2 till 4 on a Tuesday GMT in the afternoon. So hopefully I've got that right. And Kat has radio experience as well. She's been around for a long time in sort of different areas, and listened to her show, and she had a good guest on, and it kind of gives you an idea that she is quite professional in her attitude, and I enjoyed what I heard, although I wasn't privy to it all. It's thoroughly enjoyable stuff. We've also got Claire Duplessis, which I think she's coming on tonight, if I'm not mistaken. But certainly Paula's been dealing with Claire. I really don't know too much about her stuff and that, but hopefully we'll find out what's going on with Claire very, very shortly. We also have Shona Holm. Shona Holm is basically my guest. It was a couple of weeks ago, guys, and she's away for a week, and once she comes back, we're going to get her set up to go on the stream. And it's just really the technical side of things, guys, and as I say, they aren't really on the schedule just as yet, so you can imagine that once we get these guys on, the schedule will be pretty full. And I just want to reiterate too that on Saturdays we have the live mic. If there's any guys out there that might want to take an hour, or you know anybody that you would have something to say for an hour. You know, maybe you don't have a show in you every week, but you've got a rant that you could do and put out your message just for an hour. Why not, guys? It's there for you. And also, the things have been so hectic for everybody that we were going to do the weekend review this week, but everybody seemed to get held up, and we were caught up in life, I suppose. So we didn't do the weekend review on Saturday. So it kind of gives you an idea where we're going. You know, it's pretty frantic stuff, pretty hectic stuff. So we will get there, and I really thank you for you guys being patient. You know, it's at the end of the day, it's really all about you guys being, listening at the end of this stream. Really, it's basically just trying to get as much of the message out as we can, and make us aware that we do appreciate you guys that's listening out there. As I said before, I'm amazed when anybody turns up to listen to me. So, but it really is coming on, guys. There's a couple of big sites. There's Tony Gosling. There's Reality Bites. You know, they've got big followings. We're picking up steam. You know, we're doing it at night times too, and hopefully that we can get on We Roar, maybe pick up a little bit more of an audience from We Roar, or give them a little bit of an audience for We Roar, because they have good guests. And we also have Paula collaborating with the Liberty Beacon, which is Paula and Roger's going to be doing a sort of tit for tat, once on their show sort of thing, once on their radio station, and once an hour's kind of deal, and keep informed. And I think they're getting massive amount of hits. I think he was talking about in hundreds of thousands of hits to their site. So we're starting to get the tentacles out there and get the feeds in from different places, and maybe get a lot better guests coming along. Vin James is looking for some guests during the week and trying to pull in some really good guys. So there is a lot of work going on, guys, and I really, really do appreciate your patience. You know, we are getting there. And I'm just going to put sort of special thanks out to Jim UK and that for contributing to posting on the site, and, just making people aware that Awake Radio is on. And I seem to talk about Jim quite a lot, but he really does put a lot of good stuff up there, guys. It's hard not to. And Joe, special thanks to Joe. We put the call out for people that are prepared to help Awake, but maybe not go on air. And Joe's offered his help, and as soon as we get organised, Joe, we will call on your services, I'm sure. So it kind of gives you an idea. And there's Mike popped up onto the chat there. One of our hosts, and the chat box can be really distracting, guys. Hi Mike, that's okay. Life gets in the way of radio sometimes, my friend. But I'm going to go a wee tune, guys, and sort of wet my whistle, and come back with a little bit more news for you. Next tune up, once I can get Sam Broadcaster. I know it isn't a tune. I used to play The Rising Speech for Ireland by the Wild Irish Poet, and because of my PC packed in, and that's where the recording was, I tried to get it again and I couldn't actually get it. And this is with the Wild Irish Poets YouTube site. So there was another one there which I thought was it was good, but it wasn't as good as the other one. But it was strange that I can't lay my hands on the original. So have a wee listen, folks. It's quite empowering and emotional, and I hope you enjoy it, because I certainly did.
Where are we going in this world? Who are these men that drive us into darkness? Why do we lie in our beds and wonder and fear for our lives? They steal our grace and take the bread from our mouths. Our children who light the world with magic sleep as new rules are created that will snuff out the flames and wildness in their hearts in a future being stolen from them in silence. On this day our lives go on. On this day our will is challenged over and over. But on this day there is still the rain. There is still the blue sky and the dying sun. On this day hospitals will close, and more will perish in future woes. On this day thieves smile at us in suits, yet we grip our fists and say nothing. We are the millions. We are what's left of will and love and nobility. To stand idly by and sleep as the betrayal grows deeper like a wound is unbearable now. They plan to save us by killing us in inches. Ireland and so many places in the world are magnificent and breathtaking. But if they came for our money and our way of living, what is next? All our land, our precious resources, our culture and our very song. They plan to turn our smiles into masks to serve their broken souls. But the sum of our will is greater than all their rules and terror inflicted as we strive in our humble lives. And we are endless and wild and free and greater because we want a better life, not one drowning in greed and soiled with a coward's wishes. There is an ocean of courage that resides in us. It is a flame that needs one spark to ignite it. We are moving into the unknown in this world, but the light is rising. Beauty is rising. Truth is the rock that runs through time, that runs through the haunted calls of our ancestors around the planet. Our unity will save us, and we, like the vines of a rope, will be forged into 1 billion strong by our loss, by our sorrow, by our indignation. A light is rising, and it is a hard light, full of anger and shimmering beauty, and it represents us all. It will burn out those who hide behind the veil that seeks to cover this earth in destruction. We will all stand at the edge of this precipice and watch them leave forever, and our shame must burn in the fuel of our unity. And now there is something worth fighting for, and if we try and yet fail, we can live with ourselves for the trying of it, and our dignity will echo for those yet to come. We are the many, the few, and the one. Peace to you all.
Welcome back to Granadas Workshop, guys. Live Mike, he missed his show last night, guys. We all do this on a voluntary basis. Life gets in the way sometimes, and we understand that people can't make it, or your internet goes down, or whatever the case may be. But it just shows you, with Mike, he did an interview with Pondy on TNS, which is now MSI. And he did a great wee sort of show. He did a little hit piece on Pondy, and I played it on Sunday night, and it was great to hear Pondy's voice again in the sense of on a show. It was certainly something that I hadn't heard until Mike had played it. So we played that on Sunday, and a lot of people tuned in. They were glad to hear of Pondy. And just give you an idea that I spoke to Pondy on Tuesday there, guys, and he's in reasonable fettle. He's doing some work and stuff like that. He's not sure about broadcasting at the moment, and I've assured him that his spot is there for the time being, for the near future, until he decides that he wants not to broadcast or to broadcast. Guys, I'm not going to push. I'm really not going to push it. He's got a lot of things to deal with in his life, and sometimes the radio has to take a step back. But for me, Pondy, he's a great guy. He's a very honourable person. And, I've known him for quite some time now and talked to him on many occasions. And, my heart goes out to him. And he is sorely missed, guys. I think that, the amount of people that come on and ask and have concerns about Pondy, is a massive amount. It's a constantly, how is he? And this is why I'm trying to sort of say over the air, how he is. As I say, he seemed to be in good shape. We had a host meeting, and we were talking about things, and he isn't in the place where he was, but he's certainly not out of the hole yet as such. And it's good to see him sort of communicating with everybody again, and at least to some degree. And we will keep you posted, because as I say, Pondy is a really, really nice fella, and he's well missed. So we will keep you posted to how he is, and really I hope that he comes on and tells you himself, and you can listen to him on the Sunday. So I'm going to play pods for Pondy in the next few weeks until such times as that he either decides to come back or can do something with the slot. Maybe some other host will take the slot, but on the condition that Pondy wants to come back, then they vacate that slot again, which is fair enough. If people know, if hosts know that that's the situation, then then okay. The wee bit of heads up on Pondy and give you an idea of what's going on. And as I say, we appreciate all the hosts that come on here. They all do it voluntarily. It's a case of getting their voice out there, and it's very much appreciated in every way, shape and form. Kind of Mike to give me the pod to play on Sunday for yous. Okay, I'll come back with different issues. I've maybe mentioned the YouTube channel. I've basically managed to get that up and running, in the sense of I'm not a computer person, guys, as you know, and the long and the short it is I've managed to get it up there at a degree where I've got pods loading. The 3 up yesterday, and we will keep them going as thick and fast as we possibly can. The site does look a little bit of a mess because I don't have a banner that fits for the YouTube channel. So once again, I've got to learn how to make a bigger banner and things like that. So everything tends to be really slow, and because I'm slow, the computer's slow, and my brain's slow. My one cell is overworked. So, but we are getting there, guys, and we'll tidy the site. It'll be much better appearance in the near future as soon as I can work out how to get a right size banner on it and things. But this is the nature of the game. We learn every day. It's whenever somebody posts something up, you learn something new, and it's fascinating. It's great to be part of all that kind of learning curve, and I just wish I could do it a little bit faster for you guys, because as I say, my one cell's overworked as much as it is. But I posted up there about Reality Bites producer Rick Margetts. He has a site, and it's the ICR, International Community Radio Network. That's what it is. I've put the link up on there, guys, and it should have pretty much all the links that you should need for radio shows to go to different places. And I'm sure that it'll be good if you can go through that site, because it'll give him an idea of how far he's getting out, and what, who's going where and things like that, in the sense of try to get a good community together, really, because I suppose international community radio, he's trying to bring things together as much as he possibly can. I also believe that there's spaces on their network for other hosts, and that some prime time stuff still available. So I really have to talk to Rick and try and find out a little bit more. It's a huge learning curve, guys. Everything I turn to, it's just like, okay, I've got to learn this. Okay, I've got to learn that. Rick he knows his stuff compared to me, at least, and of course he leaves me lost at times. So I kind of recognise what he's trying to do. I would like to help him as much as I can in any way, shape I can. And to give you an idea who these guys are, it's I don't know if you've seen much of the footage of the Bilderberg meeting at Luton there, but a lot of that footage was taken by those guys, and I'm going to try and get a link for you without being too distracted, and we really sort of could sort of put you in the picture to who they are. Neil Foster obviously is the man in front of the camera and in front of the mic, and they have really some good guests and stuff like that. So it shows you these guys are really putting it out there to try and get some kind of info out there, at least in any way, shape and form, whether it be over the radio. And I know they've been on UK column shows and stuff like that. So yeah, big hand for them is what I can say. They're really sort of putting it out there. They're putting their own money to to do these things. I really want to try and support that as much as I can. And this is part of what we were talking about, the amalgamation of all the different sites and different places, and try and get into a kind of an amalgamated force, if you like, of information. And I hate using the word force, but where we could all go a central point where we can sort of see all different aspects of all the different information that's going out there, and trying to get some cohesion together where we can work as a unit. Rather than independent radios and independent sites and things like that. So I'm going to take a quick tune break here, guys, and I shall be back very, very shortly. One tune, and that tune will be I tell you what, there's a lot of fish at Pope, because I had kind of suspected that it was going to be an April show and there's no commercial music on there. So we roar, so and it kind of reminded me Pondy used to play it all. So this is Fish Are Pope, Lawful Rebellion. Welcome to Awake Radio, guys. I just caught the very end of that. I was laughing till you sink. I never heard that bit before. Yeah, so I'm responding to a statement that Joe made in the chat there. And I would like to address it if you like. Joe's question or statement. Yeah, I'll give you my view, my friend. That's cool. Yeah. Joe was talking to our friend tonight, and we can't work out why the powers that be still continue down this path, as they got all the money, all the power. The general population are all apathetic to what's going on and easily controlled. So what is the end game? Is it pure psychopathic? Do they want us to be gods? Do they want to be gods? Is it to fulfill their destiny? Are they bored or got nothing else to amuse them? Just wanted to get that off my chest. And a really good question or statement, whatever you want to put to that. My view on that, folks, is this. Depending on what research you do, we'll all come up with different things. My research is basically showing me that the West or the powers that be, if you like, the moneyed part of the world, essentially got a great enough hold. And they realised that in the future populations was going to be a big problem, but they needed this construct to be built for them. And essentially what's happened in modern times is that they decided we've got to control your populations, and most of the things have been an experiment in a lot of ways in seeing how the public react to things. And one of the things that they did was they funded the communist revolution in Russia. If you want to look back and check out stuff, you'll find that it's basically Rothschild funded. And essentially, for you guys out there that think the Russians are against the Americans and so on, I think again, guys, they love to control both sides, and that's what they do. And essentially, when they control both sides, they can really map out and plan whatever they want to do. So this is what they did in Russia. They had a population that they basically suppressed and tried to manipulate in the way that they could, and gave them virtually nothing, just indoctrinated them, and the whole shooting match is essentially how the Russians really got it. They really got it hard, guys. Tough people. Look up the Ukrainian famine. And I mean, it's a huge famine in the Ukraine that basically they had food, but the Russians just wouldn't let them have it. So this is what I talk about, Russia and the communists. Essentially, then they brought the wall down, but they really have no more power. The people have no more power than what they did when they were under the communist regime. It's still the same, essentially. But in the end, what they had was a controlled population that was essentially conditioned into a way of life, and essentially that's where they want to keep you. And then same thing with China. It's I think it was Mao Zedong basically had control of China, and for them, Rothschild funded again. The long and the short of it is that Mao Zedong thought he could run the show, and they put in Shanghai Shek, I think his name was, and he was basically much more under control than the first one. So you look at the Chinese communistic way. Essentially, it's very much a conditioned, controlled people, and it's very, very similar to Russia. One-child policies, the whole shooting match. These are ancient cultures, the Russian cultures and the Chinese cultures, and they just worked their system on them, guys. This is what part of the conditioning is all about. The human body adjusts and adapts to the conditions it's under, and an uninformed population that's only getting half the story, and half that story is mostly lies, generally are not informed enough to be able to go forward. This is what the awakened community is. We are the lucky ones, guys. We're the ones that can see the construct and can see what's happening. We can bypass the conditioning in some ways. And it's funny that most people that seem to be awake tend to be in their sort of 40s, 50s. And, I can relate that back to not having so much of a TV influence at our ages, possibly when we're younger. Nowadays, the conditioning that goes on through the TV is incredible. And for me, and this is my opinion, guys, and feel free to disagree, they've now got the Russian population, the Chinese population, and quite a lot of populations throughout the planet under a communistic system. And I think it was, I'm trying to think of his name just at the second. But anyway, it's one of those tie-up guys in the New World Order. It'll come to me in a minute. Henry Kissinger. Yeah, I think he praised the Chinese system in some United Nations documents and so on, and said that's the way of the future. So you kind of get an idea when he's talking about that. That's what they're really aiming for, the West. So the West really had its time, it had its luxuries, it's had its good times, and all the profiteering that we did in capitalistic society. And now it's time to bring us down, guys, to the communistic level of the Russians and the Chinese. This is why we find that the cash for clunkers was all about getting steel to China so they can build the industry. They're deindustrialising the West, guys, and industrialising the East. And they have a population which is controlled and basically skint. They need money to survive in this construct, just as we do in the West. And what they're doing when they retract the wealth from the West and take it to the East, essentially they're consolidating all their power in the conditioned societies like China and Russia. And for the West, well, we've kind of outgrown our usefulness, and essentially they have to bring our population down because, to some degree, we are free-willed. We haven't had that conditioning, and to manage us much better, they have to reduce the population and bring us into a kind of communistic system similar to the Russians and the Chinese. Now, bearing in mind that this has been going on for quite some time. If you check out what Jim Rogers is saying on YouTube or whatever TV, he's been around for a long time, guys. I've listened to him since about 2008 and wondered about him. He was the partner of George Soros, and for you that are informed out there, you'll know who George Soros is. He's kind of like the Henry Kissinger of Europe rather than the United States, and George Soros has a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. And I don't know specifically where this information came from, but it's believed that George Soros funded the Occupy movements. So this is what I'm talking about here, guys, that they like to control both sides and manipulate things as best they possibly can. The reason why they do this, guys, is there's many, but their aim is basically full spectrum dominance. The whole shooting match. Really. Everything. Control your life in every way, shape and form, guys. It's as simple as that. We're free will to some degree, yeah. But they want to take every single thing out of your control and place it into their hands. That's for me, and I've kind of believed this for quite some time. And this is what the communistic side is, guys. They get you into that 1984 kind of scenario. Really, that's where we are going. And once we get to that kind of scenario, guys, I think we're in real deep doo-doos. For me, I think when we get into that kind of deep doo-doos, it's not going to be so impossible to get out. But it's going to be real trouble. And for now, I think really what we should be doing is, doing what we're doing. Get the information out. Get to things like, let systems and, community stuff, make friends, use our sovereignty, take our energy out of the systems. We keep using this system, it's going to keep on thriving, guys. And I know it's not possible just to say, right, I'm not gonna interact with society. I'm not gonna, we all need cash to do certain things, It's we can't run our cars on fresh air because that's the way the system is. So there is going to be some kind of movement of change, but we can't just drop it instantly, but we can certainly affect it. And if we can do that and affect it in a small way in your local community, and the next local community can affect it in their way, then great. That's really what we want to. That's really how we want to do it. It's not going to happen overnight, and the future is that communistic society, guys. For me, I'm absolutely positive that's what's coming. There is no doubt, and probably much worse than what we see. The full spectrum dominance, I don't know where you want to call it the psychopaths, or where you want to call it ego, or you want to call it the devil, or you want to call it whatever. It certainly is heading that way. And for me, I think when they get to the point where they can start basically manipulating the births of the human race, I think it's all over, because we certainly won't be able to do anything in the sense of getting people with a reasonable intelligence level if they're breeding people with a very low level of intelligence. There's not going to be a rebellion or a revolution or going back to where we were, because it's like breeding dogs. You know, you keep breeding the same dogs, they all become inbred, and they get less of their DNA strain is new, and essentially you start getting dogs that have problems with maybe their back end or arthritis or stomach troubles or whatever the case may be. So the same deal again. I mean, if they manipulate us like dogs and breed an unintelligent human, these unintelligent humans are the people that are going to have to do the work, and the elite still sit at the top of the tree and really don't have to do very much other than control an uneducated population. So I think that's the time when we're going to be in real big trouble. I think we're a wee bit away from that just as yet. Certainly there is a lot of the DNA and crossing and various things, but certainly for me, we're in trouble when it gets really to that part. Transhumanism is another area where they really want to try and take control of the human body as much as they possibly can. Sorry guys, I need a quick drink again and a quick cough, and I shall be back and I'll continue with my kind of rant if you like, and sort of finish up what I was speaking about there. Okay, back in a second guys. Okay, next one is Grezip, Dutch band, I Would Stay. You're listening to the Granadas Workshop, and thanks for staying tuned there, guys. I really do appreciate you listening to my stuff. As I say, I'm always astonished anybody wants to listen. So we're talking about, well, at least I was talking about the communistic side of things, and this new world order and this construct. Guys, I really do believe that we are sorry, this chat box is just so distracting. Okay, there's a whole list of things that when I was talking I didn't look, so I'll get back to your comments in a minute. But this communistic thing, guys, is really where it's at. Full spectrum dominance is where they're at. They're not happy. They only have partial control. And they control all the money, and they control everything. If you think about it, they're controlling the media in the sense what you're listening to, and this is why I say we're the lucky ones. We are the lucky ones in the sense that we realise that our sovereignty is paramount. So this is really what I want to talk about maybe now on a more positive note. The fact that we realise that we are sovereign. Nobody rules over us. And a lot of people think we're gods, and I think we're part of God. For me, your sovereignty brings responsibility. When you realise that you are in sole control of you, and what you do affects everybody else around you. And we are all responsible for our own actions, guys. For me, I try to look at it this way. People say, do no harm or loss. Yeah, that's totally the right thing. I try and live an honourable life now, and I try to be respectful in my life. And I think really that's the only way we can go forward. So once you realise you're sovereign, really I think you're free in so many ways if you really truly realise your sovereignty. And when you realise that this construct is just a construct, we can take our energy out of that construct, guys, and build our own construct, if you want to call it that. But it can be a construct where sovereignty rules, not not the rule of force, which essentially it is. Okay, there's lots appeared in the chat, so I'm going to kind of scroll at the chat here and try and scroll up and see what I'm missing here. Yep, to what end, Joel? Well, full spectrum dominance, I think, and basically there appears that there's a bloodline, and they want that bloodline to be dominant. For me, that could be where it is. We're also talking about entities and things like that. Certainly we understand that there is powers out there we don't understand. So it may well be entities that are ruling the roost. It may be, the reptilians. I don't know, guys. Until you experience that, nobody will know, because it's pretty much just hearsay. But what we do know is there's a certain bloodline that's running this world, essentially, the New World Order. It may be that they want to be the top bloodline. Simple as that, and control everything. Only their bloodline is going to be in the elite, and everybody else is going to be essentially worker bees to that effect. Right, Paula, I want to grow up to be just like you. Okay, yep. Jim UK, I think the answer is, Joe, that these people are so-called elite are the powers that be, are power-crazy satanic devil worshippers. They look upon us as less than animals, to be used, controlled and culled in advance of their own agenda. Yep, that's as good as any. Yep, I wouldn't go too far away from that. Here we go, Dave Starbuck. Money is just an instrument of control. We need it, they have it, and they have mathematically engineered society that no one ever gets ahead. It's all about control, because as soon as they have full control, they will start to exterminate 90% of us in earnest. There are only a very few of them, and it takes that level of control for a few thousand to exterminate 7 billion and dominate 500 million survivors. Yeah, I would say yeah. That is bang on right. Jim UK, once we outlive our usefulness to them, then the great culling begins. Yeah. And that's so sad. It really is so sad. Yeah. It's where do we go? Where do we go? Well, we realise our sovereignty. We're free. They'll never ever beat it out of me, for sure. No matter what happens, my last breath, they'll not take that sovereignty away. And we have to try and show by and live by example how it is, how to live as a sovereign. We have to teach our younger generation how it is to live as a sovereign. Be responsible for our own actions. There's a point I keep meaning to bring up and I keep forgetting. But really, if you think, if everybody lived in honour, guys, there wouldn't be any famine, there wouldn't be any stealing, there wouldn't be any of this profiteering at somebody's misfortune. We would live with compassion, and that's a thing that I think a lot of us forget about, is being compassionate to our fellow man. When we see people, maybe if there's a, if things do go bad and people are looking for food, and they're going to come and they're going to try and take that food off you because their family's starving, you would probably do the same in their circumstance. And this is where compassion comes in. If you can, and it can help, give them food, because it could be you in the other circumstance. And for me, that's the way I see things. If somebody's going to try and hurt me and hurt my family, yeah, but it's it's high stakes, yeah. Dave Starbuck again. Don't get upset by any of this. This is just a game. Nothing we do matters here in this sandbox except how we play the game. So don't be invested in the outcome and play the game the best you can. Yeah, well, playing the best you can, live in the now, folks. It's what you do now is important, not what you did before, how you were before, but what you do now with the information that you have. And for me, it was a case of, I did a journey, and I realised that I had to grow food and kind of remove myself a little bit from society and get some land and things like that. And but then once you get to that point, you realise that you're living in fear, and you've got to get your heart in the right place. And this is where the sovereignty comes in. When you realise you're sovereign and everybody else is sovereign too, then that's kind of getting your heart into place. You understand that you could be in that situation. It's all about compassion, guys. It shows that when people are compassionate, then that positive, compassionate nature that you've showed somebody something will return, or they'll return it to somebody else. And this is part of going forward in this construct. It really, really is important in my eyes, guys. Sorry, I've really got to take another wee break here, guys. I'll be back soon. Next tune up is Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze. Welcome back to Granadas Workshop, guys. Sorry, I had to take a quick rapid break there. Okay, got distracted with the chat and so on, but yeah, Dave Starbuck was also putting up here, but their nature is such that they will eventually turn on each other and end themselves. It's inevitable. Well, it's my belief it is this. What we research and what we find out about this New World Order is what they want us to know. And essentially what they want us to do is, a controlled culling, for want of a better expression. When it comes to the point, they realise that this construct was going to blow up, and basically then they'll have their one world order. And this is where they're trying to get it to. But it's got to be controlled, guys. These guys don't do anything by halves. And essentially what they're leading you to is a choice. And it's kind of an expression I've used before. And it really all depends on your viewpoint of things. But basically I've said this. We all face a decision. All of us. Each and every one of us. The majority of these people will make the wrong decision. The minority of people will make the right decision. That's kind of us, because we're awakened to what's going on. The minority will inherit the earth, and balance will be restored. And I really think that's how it will happen, because balance will be restored because people, like us awakened people, if you like, will know how to treat the earth, will know how to treat people, will know how to exist on this planet in a way where it's compatible, like Mother Earth intended, like God intended, like the Creator intended. Yeah, I really do believe balance will be restored. We will be very much a smaller population, I believe. That small population is then going to have to try and do its best to break free from the chains of the New World Order, depending on how this outcome comes. For me, the Great Awakening is that we need people to be compassionate about what's happening in the future and realise that killing only really leads to more killing. These people, this small minority elite, are usually conditioned as well. So we have to understand that that's the way they've been brought up. They've got their conditioning that's affected their lives and their families and so on. So we've got to understand that we can't just erupt. They want us to erupt. They want us to attack the police. They want us to attack the army, so they can bring out their weapons and decimate the population, and enforce that control even heavier by using the bully boy tactics. And I say these guys have it worked out. That's how they'd want to play it. But essentially, if it doesn't work that way, and we have the small percentage of the population who have become awakened, that maybe has become a large part, and they can't control it, then that population will be kind of docile, forgiving, population. So I use the analogy like this: when you were a small boy or a small girl and you did something wrong and you went back to your parents, normally you would go to your mother because you would probably get sent to bed without any supper. When you went to your father, you usually got a clip round the ear. Well, essentially that small population that is going to be compassionate is your mother, and the violent father that clips you round the ear is going to be the fact that we erupt, and essentially the world order is going to stamp on us as much as and hard as they possibly can. That's my impression of it, guys, but it doesn't have to come to be that way. I think for me, we start doing things now, in the now, with our sovereignty, start building community, keep the information flowing, talk to your neighbours, make friends with your neighbours, make friends in your community where you can start building up. We need to start now. We should have started a long time ago. The awakening process for many is coming. I really believe it is come, and it's coming in the time that I became awakened. It is becoming very, very fast. And these people now have to learn an awful lot in a very short period of time, in my opinion, to understand how to deal with the situation. For me, I prefer the non-violent approach because I really don't think it really helps matters. And this is the thing with the Jews and the Arabs. You know, they keep the conflict going by shooting their youngsters, and that really just breeds hatred to fight back and kill the other side. In Northern Ireland here, we have had troubles for many years, as many as you would know. And, there's basically two factions, the Catholic side, the Protestant side, if you like, or the British side and the Irish side, or the Masonic side from, the Orange Order, or I've forgotten the ancient order of the Hibernians. They love to control both sides, guys. It's as simple as that. When we realise that they control both sides of this construct, then we really need to take our energy straight out of it and start now building our own little construct, if you like, that has compassion built in. I've often talked about let schemes. It's something we could do with our local communities quite easy. Local exchange trading schemes. There's no way that we can't do this unless, other than we putting our energy to it. Unfortunately, with my health, that's something that I really can't do too much of in that sense. But my health ever improves. I think that's the first place I'll be trying to affect some change, is a local economic trading scheme. Bearing in mind that this is not a business, it's just a way of exchanging labour and goods. Simple as that. It doesn't have to make money. All it has to do is work. That's it. Nobody has to make money out of it. It's a case of you exchange 1 hour's fair labour for another hour's fair labour. Yep. Or agree to a product for whatever for that hour's labour. Yep. There will be a transition period. You can't just immediately look at things and say, right, we're going to do that and it's going to be okay. It's going to be a transitional stage, and we really need to start it now, guys. And I think probably the information that's going out now through all the different websites and so on, there is a very fast awakening, I've no doubt. And there is a very positive attitude in some ways. But we kind of live in a world of, sovereignty and free man and internet land that's away from the TV. And we don't really see too much of what's going on in the normal, two adults, two kids sitting watching in front of the TV, going to work every day and just looking for a nice easy life, in the sense that don't trouble me, and they'd rather use the fiat money just to pay the bills and leave them in peace, and being totally unaware of the construct that's around them. And I keep saying this, guys, but we are really the lucky ones. We really are. I have every faith that we will get there in the end. It's just a case of how many of us do the right thing and come out the other end, and not basically use the violent approach and take our energy out of the system. And that's the non-violent approach, guys. You voluntarily go to Tesco sometimes, and the more of us that voluntarily take our energy out of Tesco's, the less Tesco's going to sell and the less they're going to be in business, and can maybe start a much more of the local community shops that should be there initially that have been basically wiped out. Okay, I really need a drink, guys, so I'm going to stick a tune on or two, because it will take me a minute or two to grab a cuppa here, and I'll be back soon. And I didn't realise I'd been ranting for an hour and 3/4 already. What I do have, well, I'll tell you when I come back. I have a little pod to play in the last hour that was basically, I was put in contact with these people, so, and I'll explain who that is just in a wee while. Next tune up is another Dutch band. It's Within Temptation, Ice Queen. I loved this when I was in Holland. It's about 2001, and I kind of like some of the Dutch bands for sure. Enjoy, folks. Welcome back to Granadas Workshop, guys. Okay, I'm going to see if I can do two things at once here. Work a mouse and talk at the same time. I see there's kind of a lot of things getting posted up. Okay, Jim UK was saying, good conversation today with a 20-year-old son of a customer who he's working for. He's a law student at university. He was quite awake as to what was going on, still a lot to learn. He knew a lot. He was saying a lot of others at uni are starting to wake up as well, so maybe there's hope. Yeah, and that's exactly the place, our youth. That's where we really want to try and get some concentration on and trying to get them awakened. Certainly my boy is awakened to some degree, but he kind of refuses to take the information in. I think that's a little bit what we're going to face. We're fighting in the indoctrination, so it's indoctrinated from an early age is what Jim has previously posted there. So yeah, our youth are really, really important in this construct. We need to work on them without scaring the living daylights out of them. That's the problem. For me, it's because I have a 15-year-old. Yeah, it affects me really directly, but you know, I'm just as concerned really for every other person's kids and sons and daughters and family out there too, because we're all part of this construct and we're all getting pooed on from a great height, guys. Every one of us, you know. Okay. Jill says, thanks for this conversation. I need to hear it tonight, if you know what I mean. Yeah, well, I'm glad that I could do that for you, Jill. I do remain positive that we will be able to do something in this construct. And if not, at least I'm going to go down fighting for sure. I'm going to ask you guys a question and maybe run over, sort of do it. I was planning to go in about 10 o'clock, but if there's enough interest in the wee thing I was going to talk about, then I'll continue on for a little while. Jim was Dave Starbuck, which is our allegedly Dave. I just rewatched the old film Rollerball. The subtext is exactly what's playing out in the world today. Yeah, there's no doubt. They tell you in the movies constantly. Truth Seeker 2, there is hope, Jim. We just keep our minds trained and pushing out the positive energy and making no room for the negative. Yep, I totally agree with that. I really do think we have to look at the negative too. Balance in everything. And I really think that we should concentrate on the positive energies much more than the negative, but we should be aware that the negative is there and it has its place. For me, it's balance features very strongly in life, I think. Okay, rollerball in a futuristic society where corporations have replaced countries. The violent game of rollerball is used to control the populace by demonstrating the futility of individuality. I think I will watch it again, Dave. Cheers. Yeah, well, that is what's happening. But they're called China and Russia and, you know, South America and North America and Europe. That's the deal, really. For me, I've kind of been aware of this for quite some time. And I've also been aware I've been on a journey. And I don't know if you guys out there feel that you've been the same. And I'm not saying a mapped out journey where exactly everything's controlled to the nth degree, but I really do believe in this world to do certain things. And my journey really has been kind of crazy for me. Become awakened. I become awakened because of finding out about the oil companies basically controlling future technologies, free energies and things like that, and then discovering there was a new world order, so to speak. And from then on, it was a change of life course, if you like. And synchronicities have played a thing. It's certainly getting this place where I live was a synchronistic thing. I've mentioned this before to the listeners. In fact, the question I want to put, if you want to respond in the chat, guys, do you guys feel that you're on a particular journey? And I'll keep talking while maybe you want to post up that you are or you're not, you know. But there was synchronicity for me getting this place. I just put an advert in the paper. It hadn't actually went to press, and the next phone call I got was an offer of a house, and here I am, you know. So it's been synchronistic. There's certain things that I felt have happened. You know, I went on the radio at TNS MSI, and you know, I'd never spoken publicly, or I was too shy to do a best man speech. You know, at one stage. So, you know, I really thought that was kind of where I was going, and then left TNS and come to Awake, and Awake kind of destructed a little bit, and I left Awake and thought, you know, that was my end of my dealings with the free man, sovereign internet community, because I'd kind of got really disgruntled with it, guys. But something in my mind kept telling me, no, that's not the thing, and I really believe that. You know, not being on the radio wasn't my journey, and now I'm here on Awake Radio again, and having a great time. So, sometimes that we think that there's certain things happen in our life and it doesn't really coincide with what the plans are. And, it will come around to being what it is if it's part of your journey. And I really try and always now is try and ask the question if I'm kind of a fork in the road. And I'd really like to know out there, guys, if you feel the same way. If you feel that since you've become unawakened, that you have a certain journey to go through. It certainly is for me, for sure. It's not mapped out. I don't believe for 1 minute that it's totally mapped out for us. But I do believe that there's certain things that we have to do in our journey before it's before your time is spent, if you like. And Joe's saying it's a good point. We are on this path, and they're on their path, and it's been scripted. Don't you feel sometimes? Yeah, it definitely has been scripted. I certainly think the Bible is the script to what the New World Order plans. Pretty much everything in there was said. I'm not saying that it's not been corrupted or manipulated, but certainly I believe it is the script of this New World Order. And we can read enough of the script to stop it in its tracks, to be honest. We really have a lot of energy out there, the majority of us guys, and if we take that energy out of that construct, there's no stopping us. There's only stopping ourselves, really. And it's part of this thing of the conditioning we've had. We don't want to be the black sheep or the oddball, though I'm fairly sure that anybody that's listening to here now has been called an oddball or a screwball, more likely. And it's you get looked with the furrowed brows and as if to say, well, this guy's lost it. And it's really strange because probably you guys have come across the same thing, that people that you've spoke to maybe a couple of years ago coming up to you and saying, you were right, I looked up this, I looked up that, and so on. And it kind of gives you a warm feeling that you've maybe done something in the right way, the right path, for sure. If I can stop one person taking a vaccination, or could get them to grow something they can use for a medicinal purpose, or even have a healthy food, so that they're not eating the junk. It's enough for me, guys. It's that's all it takes. Jim UK, I'm the same, Steve's. Sometimes I look around at society in despair, but then some little thing will happen to lift my spirits and make me realise we need to keep at it and spread the word. A small conversation here, a casual word with someone, it's all worthwhile. Planting seeds. Yeah, there is no doubt, and that's an excellent way to put that, my friend. We do get frustrated, certainly with people that are closest to us, because they tend to be the hardest ones to get through to. I did read your post during the week that some of your family were coming around to, Jim, during the week there, and I'm really, really pleased to hear that. And I think that's the kind of deal that we're having now, that we've been at this so long, trying to get the information out, and the awakening is happening very, very fast. People are becoming much more aware, even in the small context of things. So it's planting the seeds. That's the thing, Jim. And the other thing is we forget that we don't have to keep going back to that same thing, and keep pounding somebody. I think it was John Harris said this, that you don't have to, if you plant a seed and it's an apple tree, you don't have to keep telling it's an apple tree. Just let it grow. It knows what to do. So for me, it's keep planting the seeds. And for me, it's astonishing actually to see a lot of the awakening that's happening. Quick break again, guys, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, guys, thanks for staying tuned. It's great that you stay there and listen. I really do appreciate it. We're talking about journeys, and Truth Seeker 22 put on the chat there. I definitely feel I'm on a journey of realisation and oneness, unity, peace and love, where before my awakening I had nothing but chaos, selfishness and apathy. I'm here to give positive reinforcement. Yeah, that's absolutely magic. That's a view that I would take, and I would really support that greatly. The reason why that is that, I relate to that. Before you become awakened, you never really understood things and so on, and you obviously do a journey of learning as well as your journey through life, and you start to learn all these different things and understand, that people are conditioned and they're having it just as hard as you. You really want to try and be that forgiving person, at one with everybody, loving, peaceful, and I relate to that. I see that people have enough violence and despair in their life. We have to positively reinforce what we're trying to do, for sure. You know, we need to change. We need to change our tack, guys. It's as simple as that. Allegedly, Dave Starbuck in the chat there, watch his latest video, which gives me a chance to plug the new YouTube Awake Radio 1 channel. Go there, guys. It's on there. There is a better way. Yeah? There has to be a better way, I think it's called. And Dave can expresses, and I think does well, considering the wind noise, guys. But it's the words that are important. It's not the wind noise. But have a listen to what he says, and he's just right. You know, we don't need to be living in houses that need heated and cooled, and buying this junk food and living this electromagnetic soup. Think about it, guys. If you were 20 and you'd had your education, a reasonable education, and managed to buy a bit of land and worked for 20 years on that little bit of land, making yourself a house and all the different things, just doing it, say out of scrap or what you can find rubbish, you know, you would have a house at the end of it, and then you could retire for the next 20 years and not do nothing bar sort of live in your house, and you wouldn't need to do your 9-to-5 jobs and you know, earn all this fiat currency. Simple, just way of looking at it. To live in this construct is impossible. It's geared up against you, as Dave said. There is a better way. There is no doubt in my mind there's a better way. And really, that's what we should do. Yeah. Is that the one of Dave wandering around the countryside? Yep. Yep, it is. It's funny because I got a text from Dave. I'd sent him a text, and obviously he couldn't get it. He had to walk 2 miles to get a signal just to get a text, which I thought was funny. But I thought, yeah, great. I mean, he's not in that kind of electromagnetic soup, you know, as he said himself. So, yeah. And, you know, I'm lucky that I'm kind of in the countryside and have hills and great views and things like that. And certainly Dave seemed to be enjoying where he was at that moment in time. We don't really get a chance to enjoy our planet because usually our nose is to the grindstone and try to make that fiat currency so that it can be basically squandered or used to enslave you. And this is why I was saying before that we really need to start now. Start to take our energy out of this system. I think really the awakening movement now is really at a point where I think it's starting to bear fruit, and I think now that we really need to be organised a little bit and start getting our communities together and bonding, you know, coming away from this TV, 2 adults, 2 children in the little house, not communicating with anybody. We want to try and bring back, I think, some of the older spirit, the older community spirit, and start bringing us together in a reasonable manner. That awakening is very positive in my opinion, and I would really like to try and help move that on. The reason why I'm laughing there, guys, is the cheese and jam sandwiches is quite a favourite in Scotland as well. And I think the further north you go, that becomes a staple diet of the kids in the younger generation too. So, but I'm not going to repeat why I don't eat it, but certainly it is definitely a staple in Scotland. Truth Seeker 2, bread in moderation should give no ill effects. Dairy products should be eaten sparingly also. Yep, I don't particularly take any dairy products anymore. Well, not anymore, but certainly milk. I've reduced the milk to virtually zero. The pasteurised rubbish milk, of course. And, well, the grains. It's there's I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Dr. Sebi. Try and look up that on YouTube, and he reckons that the grains and that have been modified for quite some time, and I suspect so too. But certainly dairy products, I would agree, keep away from them as much as you can. I then generally have maybe a bit of cheese or something like that, but not too much dairy. So it tends to be very mucus forming for me, and then that becomes a problem. So Okay, Dave, walking around the countryside, caught up with the chat. Yep, everything in moderation. It's very difficult in this day and age to eat anything, and knowing that it's not been messed around with. We think even vegetables, and then you think, well, a carrot was purple, and they changed the genetics to be orange. Has something changed to that point where it's not good for us? Corn on the cob, it's highly modified these days. Soybeans, highly modified. Potatoes, they reckon, they're GM, highly modified. And I was speaking to somebody who was saying to me, the bananas, you go into the wild and pick a banana, it's got lots of seeds in it, like a watermelon, a true banana. And yet we go to our superstore and pull a banana off there and there's not a seed in it. So how much has that been modified? So it's extremely difficult to avoid the processed rubbish in your food. This is why I tend to want to try and grow things and encourage everybody to grow as much as they possibly can, and in a heritage variety too. I'm not sure if they might be suspect at some stage either, the heritage varieties. As I said to you, carrots were purple. So, right, Joe, I think it's the main way to remove ourselves from the system and start making communities together. No money, just supporting each other, but easier said than done currently. Well, yes, Joe, I agree, it is difficult. Look up local exchange trading systems, and there's plenty of them going, and some of them get some bad press and so on. But if you look at a let system as not a business, only just a way of exchanging your goods and labour, simple as that, there is no reason why it can't work. And I really think we've got to build in compassion in virtually everything. People are going to want to maintain the Castlewellan pound or whatever it is, and at the end of the day, that it's basically just somebody that's running it, and they might even do it on a voluntarily basis. It's that's the way it should be seen. It's a community good rather than a bank taking the money out of the local system and putting it into the big multinationals and taking it away from that area. I really do think that there's enough of these systems up and running for us to be aware of how it works and how we can do it. And certainly I interviewed on a show, I can't remember the gentleman's name at the second, but from Cork Lets. There were 4 let systems in the city of Cork in the south of Ireland. I mean, there's plenty all around the UK too, but I just interviewed him, and it seems to be thriving, guys. It definitely seems to be thriving. And I've actually tried to get him back on the show and haven't managed to get in contact. So I have been actually looking at others, but I've been so busy too that it kind of got put by the wayside for the moment. So I will try and get somebody on as regards let systems so that you guys can have a better idea of what the system is. Also, talking about guests and trying to get guests on, I still can't get back in contact with Mary Claire, incredible edible Todd Morden, which I'm really looking forward to getting her on because she's a bunch of fun, and it would be a great time. I've also tried to get the Irish Seed Savers on, not the Irish Seed Savers, the Seed Savers in the UK on. I've sent them a message and they've sent out like a bulletin of what's happening with the EU regulations about even giving away seeds, folks. You're not even allowed to give away seeds, which is incredible. So I've tried to get them on as well. And I was also given a link to Arthur Christian, I think his name, or Kristen, and I sent him an email today, and apparently they're inundated with different things and posts and emails and so on. But I really am trying to get this guy on. I only read a little bit about him, and this guy seems to be fascinating. So hopefully I shall have a guest for you next week, and something on the nature of Arthur Christian or Kristen, and or Mary Claire from Incredible Edible, or whatever the case may be. As I say, I have a few fingers in pies that I've been trying to get on. Neil Kramer is another one. I've been trying to get in contact with him, managed to get a message to him, and haven't had a reply yet. So all things being well, hopefully that I should have some guests next week, and I'm actually going to take a few days away from the site, guys, this week, and try and sort of recuperate a little bit. So if you don't see me about, that's I'm not falling ill or whatever the case. I'm just taking a wee respite for a little while and try and catch up with some personal things that I should have been doing. And as I say, I love doing this and I love doing it for you guys. And, as I say, I really need to take a little bit of time out just for a day or so, just to get myself back into a regular routine again. And but there'll be people on the air, hosts on the air, that'll keep you entertained and keep the information flowing to you guys. So, before I sign off, I have a podcast that I'm going to play, and I think I've probably run over a little bit over time, but I'll play as much of it as I can, and you'll probably catch up on sort of times that when I no hosts on with this podcast, because I shall play it. But hopefully he's going to be a future guest, guys. I haven't had a chance to listen to all the podcasts, but most of what he said in that short period of time, I was rather enthusiastic about. So for me, enjoy your rest of your week and be safe and take care, folks. And same time, same place next week. Take care, folks.